Hello, record nerds of the internet. It's that time of month again. All the records I bought, and I bought a lot again. Let's talk about it.
Six in the morning.
So we're going to start this chronologically with the first record I got of the month, and that was this one. Slapshot, Sudden Death Overtime. A friend of mine gave this to me because he bought a copy that was in better condition, and this one, as you can see, isn't in the greatest of condition. So he gave it to me for free. Slapshot was a band from Boston. I think they're still around and playing shows to some degree. This is actually the first Slapshot album I ever heard. This was like their new album when I had first heard them. I don't know what year that was because it's not on. The date is not on the record. Has a printed inner sleeve with some lyrics. They were a straight edge hardcore band. This was a band that started after the band Last Rites and Negative Effects. And then it comes with a Tang order sheet. There's another record on here that I bought this month. I'll have to wait till we get there. And then I picked up this record, All Problematic, from Amazon. This was $10 on some sort of sale. I'd have to say that the Descendants / All are my favorite band of all time, except they keep putting out more and more records, each one worse than the last. Well, not All. I guess it's Descendants. They keep putting out horrible records. This might have been the first one where I was like, They had a bunch of good songs on this, and then a lot of cringy sort of songs. But for $10, I will buy it. And I didn't open this, so I don't know what color it's on. I assume black. Let's open it up and verify. We'll do it live, people.
No. We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Black vinyl. Very staticky. Can barely get this back in here. Printed inner sleeve. Nope, won't go down. Great. It's awesome. And then I went to another record show. I think it was the last video that I discussed going to over the first record show in many, many years, if not over a decade. So I went to another one, and I picked up some records. I picked up this. Oh, it's the other Tang record. Hard On's Dick Cheese. Great, great name for a band. Great name for an album from that band. It says $20. I paid $15. I think this is essentially the last Hard On's record that I wanted that I didn't have. This is the just on black vinyl version. This came out a couple of different colors, I believe. This is when Tang was getting even cheaper, so you have your order sheet on the back of the lyric sheet. This was also put out from Waterfront Records in Australia. Oh, the Hard-Ons were an Australian band. They still are. I think they're still around. Similar to Slapshot. Except I think Hard-Ons might be more active than Slapshot. So one of the weird things about this record show is that there were not a lot of vendors and there were not a lot of people, which I thought was odd. I don't know what that means for the economy or the record market in general. Probably not good things. One of the first booths I went to had a lot of really good, interesting records, but he wanted a lot of good, interesting money for them. So at first I was like, I'll come back later and try to get something for a better price, which didn't completely work out, but it kind of did. So the two things that he had that I wanted, he had a bunch of stuff I wanted, but the things I wanted the most to pay his prices for, potentially, were these. Husker Du New Day Rising, and Flip Your Wig. Now, these are the original presses, which is why I was willing to pay extra money for them.
You're ugly. You are disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
And you might ask yourself, why would you do that? Well, so it has the SST order sheet as well as a lyric sheet, which SST does not do. They, for whatever reason, on their represses, they never include a lyric sheet when normally their first pressings did, which makes no sense. But I like looking at this stuff from whenever this would have been, like the mid-'80s. You could have gotten these really awesome signed and numbered posters from Ray Pettibone for $1.75 each. How much would those sell for on eBay now? Hundreds of dollars, I presume? So Flip Your Wig is maybe my least favorite Husker Du album. I'm not sure why. Divide and Conquer is a great song, but like the rest of them are just kind of blah. Is there another song on here that I like a lot? I don't know. To me, it's sort of their like weakest record, except for maybe Warehouse, but I don't know. Get at me in the comments. You tell me if I'm wrong. And then New Day Rising, one of my favorite records from Husker Du. And again, this is the original pressing, and it looks like it was, I mean, look how minty this is. It looks brand new. And this has a printed inner sleeve, which I assure you, if you bought the new version of this, does not have. Which is why I bought these. So he wanted $40 for these. And then he ended up throwing in this Ruts record, Grin and Bear It. I have never seen a Ruts record in the wild, ever. I don't know why. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I've been looking for them for years. Decades, perhaps. This, I think, is the French version without the insert. But so I got this and this and this, $80, which, I don't know, seems a little pricey for those, but whatever. That's sort of the going rate. I mean, the going rate on this is not free. He gave me those two for $40 and then gave me that for free. And so the $40 I think is a decent deal. But I wanted them. And you hardly ever see them. And then the condition was just so good. And then I picked up, if you remember, if you've watched, which it's debatable, if you watched my previous video, there's a lot of Peter Brotzman records I picked up. I picked up a reissue of this, and then I found this at the show. And I paid not $12, but $10 for this. I bought this off of a guy who used to come into my record store. And then he ended up teaching my son math, I think in the 5th grade. This has a printed inner sleeve with a lot of words. And I'll, at one point in the future, I think, I'll do a shootout between this and the reissue and see if there's any sonic differences. Clearly that's a different album cover than the other one. The other one looks different. I mean, they're both ugly. And then, if you recall from last time, I talked about meeting a guy who moved to Buffalo. He was in a band called Christie Front Drive. He was in a bunch of bands. He was in a band called Antarctica. He was in a band called Golden City. He was in a band called the 101. 101? 101s? I don't remember. That band was really good.
Where are you now? Where are the clouds? And we're dancing.
He was also in a band called The Highness. And he's also doing a current new band with a guy from the emo band Boys Life and a guy from the emo band Mineral. And he told me that Antarctica, the LP, is actually going to come out on vinyl soon. So that's cool. So I bought some jazz records from him. I bought this. Joe Henderson, In and Out, $10. Corey Tyner, Sahara, from Vinyl Me Please, $20. And then Candid, reissue of Mingus Presents, Charles Mingus. And then we went on vacation. And so we went to a lot of places. The first place we went to was to visit my brother-in-law and his family in Virginia. And while we were down there, I went to this cool store in Annapolis that's like, they have like, over here is a comic book shop, which I like comic books. And then over here is a shop that carries like role-playing games and records. And it just so happened that the day that we went, they were doing a tent sale where they had records that were $5. Brand new records for $5. And I bought a bunch of them. But I'm only keeping some, and I'm going to show you those, because the rest of them are going to go into my bins at the record show that I'm going to do in October of this year. So I won't show you those. But I will show you the two that I'm keeping. I'm only keeping two. Coil, music to play in the dark, squared, or two, probably two, but it's squared. Not $35, $5. This is a limited edition of 1000 on clear blue vinyl, or $5. And then Merzbow, Venerology, limited edition to 1,000 copies, custom butterfly, splatter edition, blah, blah, blah. Not $30, but so it's funny, my son bought a copy of this and he listened to it on Apple Music while we were driving back, and he's like, Dad, I don't want this. This is noise. And I was like, okay, I will take it. I had already bought a whole bunch of them because they had stacks of these. It's on that color vinyl. The Coil I have not opened. I guess I'll open that. We'll do that one live too.
Do it live!
But I ended up buying like 20 or so records for $5. I had gotten there late. If I had gotten there early, I have no idea what they would have had, because they had some decent stuff when I was there. I got stuff from like Cro-Mags, what else? Napalm Death, Carcass, obviously, all kinds of crazy stuff. There's some stuff I'm on the fence about keeping too. There was like a Juliana Hatfield record, her newest one, which isn't super awesome, but it's okay. And then, what else? There's a Lou Barlow record I got that, as much as I like Dinosaur Jr., I have never gotten into the Lou Barlow solo stuff. So this is a double LP on this pretty aqua blue sort of color. But yeah, so the record store in Annapolis is called Third Eye Records. Well, Third Eye Comics and Games and Records. I don't know what there's a ton of Third Eye comic shops around like the DC area. I believe the one in Annapolis is their biggest one. And then, after we got done at my brother-in-law's house, we drove to Ocean City, Maryland. And while I was there, I went to a place called Berlin, Maryland. And I went to a record store called Soundstorm. And while I was there, I picked up the Sisters of Mercy record from Record Store Day that I did not buy because I could not find it locally. And they had it for $20. And for 5 songs, that seems like a lot of money, but you know, it's Can't get them all for $5, I guess. And then we went, well, I went. My family went to the mall. I went to a record store, and I think it was Leesburg, Virginia, called Dig! Exclamation point Records. And I got some stuff from them. I bought this Riverdales record, which I was hoping I didn't have, but this is the one Riverdales record I actually already have. The jacket's a little beat up, but this is, my copy is on black vinyl. This one's on green vinyl. So Riverdales were a band that Ben Weasel and Dan Schaefer from Screeching Weasel did. Their first album when it came out I thought was horrible, and then I never gave any of their other records a listen until much later. And I found out that they were actually really good. I actually think I like them more than Screeching Weasel. But so now I have two different copies of that, one on black, one on green. And then I picked up Forgotten Rebels. This ain't Hollywood. For $15. This is the 1996 version. I think it's on red. But it's still sealed. So I'm debating whether or not just to list this on Discogs for $100. Because, I don't know, I feel kind of bad about opening it. Because I'll probably listen to it once or twice in my life. This is a band from, I think, Hamilton, Ontario, which I'm in Buffalo, and it's like 40 minutes away, so it's a semi-local band if you want to consider a band not in your country local. But when you hear about leaving stuff in shrink wrap and like it's a bad idea, well, this is why, because the shrink wrap is going to pull on the corners and potentially warp the record. I don't think that's a problem here, but it's definitely warping the cover. And then I got The Damned, Music for Pleasure, which is an interesting title for the worst Damned album, but this is one I didn't own. This is the OG on Stiff. This I think was 20 or $25. It's not in the greatest shape, but you don't really see this very often. Like, you can see that this is kind of beat up. I think this doesn't have the insert. Yes, it does not have the insert. If I remember correctly, the vinyl looks good. Yes, the vinyl looks nary a scratch on it, but the cover is all beat to shit, so I don't know why. I don't know how that happens. And then I found this weird record. Phil Alvin with Sunra, and this is on Slash Records. I had no idea what this was. It was $5, so I grabbed it. I guess it's worth about $5. I have no idea what kind of music this is going to be, but it's going to be weird. Someone plays a flugelhorn. I don't know that I have any other records with a flugelhorn on it. Not exactly even sure what a flugelhorn is, but here we are discussing it. So before I left, it could have been, I don't know, months ago, I don't even remember, I had placed a pre-order for Screeching Weasel's Anthem for a New Tomorrow, the 30th anniversary version, which is a weird version. You can go listen to it. If you listen to that record for as long as I have, apparently close to 30 years at this point, either 30 years, I don't know when the first time I heard that record was. I found it a little weird, some of the changes that they made, but I don't know. I still think it's probably the best Screeching Weasel album. Again, if you disagree, let me know. So Ben Weasel had said for years, like, we're never repressing records, and now they're repressing records. So I guess now he realizes there's money in it. Anyway, so I don't know what you're like, but I try to get over $100 in an online purchase so I could pay by PayPal and then have the 6 months free financing. And then also if I spent over $100, I got free shipping. And so I got this. This is the new version. It is on green vinyl. This was a limited edition of 100 on green. So I picked up a couple of these because I'm trying to get over that 100 mark. They didn't have much else I wanted, but to get over $100, I ended up buying what they called the test pressing lot number 2. They had different versions of the test pressing lots. There's one for $30 where they just send you whatever test presses they want. And then 2, you got to pick one record that you wanted. And then there was a third one that was sold out where you got to pick a whole bunch of test presses that you wanted. The one I went with to absorb money was number 2, so I could pick some records because they have a lot of records that I like. And I thought for sure the major, like the list that I was going to come up with, they would have something left. So it was, my very first one was the Riverdales Tarantula, because I don't own that on vinyl, and like I would love to own that on vinyl. And then like all of the Screeching Weasel records that they put out. And then they put out like Dwarves records, they put out Queers records. So I gave him this big long list of like 20 records, and he's like, we don't have any of those. And so I'm like, well, what do you have from, do you have anything at all from this list? And he's like, well, we have a Dwarves record, which was this one. The only one without naked ladies on it, as far as I know. Lick It, 1983 to 1986. And so this is a test pressing of that. It's a double test pressing. White label test press. Does not actually say on the labels what it is, but you know, it's this Dwarves record. And then when I opened the box, I saw this and I got super duper excited because this is the first thing I wanted. And I was like, oh my God, he hooked me up. But alas, this is just the cover. So this is the cover of a Riverdale's Tarantula record. If I ever find the record with no cover, I guess I'm good to go. And I am good to go. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Touch the bell, touch the buttons down there, do whatever you got to do. Oh, wait, I'm not done. I bought this months ago from Revelation Records on my last Revelation, and I keep forgetting to do it. I almost forgot to do it now. This lovely little record. This is a reissue of this from Puke and Vomit, which is perhaps the worst record label name of all time. And let's see. Oh, yeah, bad record label name, but they do great reissues. So this is like a early 80s punk band, I think somewhere from the Midwest. I might be wrong. It has this little sticker. It has a insert and comes on that color vinyl. And now I'm done. Have a good day.